You're a first child of 5 kids like I am, and you don't have generational wealth at home, and you are talking about passion a lot, and your passion ain't gonna put food on the table. You might be talking a lot of nonsense.
Meet Babatunde Obadero, co-founder and CEO of Zitra Investments, a true game changer in Nigeria's evolving investment space. With a perfect blend of academic brilliance and entrepreneurial grit, he is on a mission to make investments, savings, and lending accessible to every Nigerian. Tunde shares his entrepreneurial journey, insights on Nigerians' financial landscape, and how fintech innovation can help Nigerians build wealth. This is one conversation you don't want to miss. Welcome Tunde. I'm so excited that you're here.
It's nice to be here with you this afternoon, Joe.
Yes. And today, there's something I really want to talk about. This is for me, actually. Yeah. Listeners, viewers out there, great. But this is so personal to me because I have struggled in different layers around this topic, especially as a woman. Somehow, we've grown up not to talk about money. We talk about the things money can buy, give us, pay. But when it really comes to confronting money, there's money has one kind of special place or power that it's either, if you talk about it, then you're too greedy. If you ask for what you want, you're too greedy. You will say every other thing, but you don't come to that money. Yeah. Or if you have too much, maybe you have done something bad. There's no way you can have so much money when people are poor. Juju, ritual, money ritual, I don't know what they call it. Yeah. Or if you don't have, you've been cursed, you are lazy. Money just overclouds so many things. But we don't talk about it. We don't learn. You go and learn accounting or mathematics. That doesn't mean you're learning money. So why do you think we as people, humans, we created this idea of money, the value of that money has is an idea we've created, right? We all agree on it. But why do you think we still are scared to talk about it?
This is interesting. I had no clue this is where we're going, but I love where you started from. A young lady who is hustling and is striving hard to make a lot of money, they will call her Ashawo. It must be men that are giving her money. A young man who, you've talked about the female side. Yes. That's true on the masculine side. Okay. A young man who everyone doesn't know exactly what he does. They will say, he's doing Yahoo. And from a young age, as a people, we appreciate what money can achieve without teaching the young ones the how. What the journey to money, so to say. And you're so spot on with that. Well, this is no advert, but it's one of the reasons why I love one of my friends is doing, Tosin Alasende, who runs Money Africa. Money Africa, she has Money Africa for kids, particularly for kids. My kids have been on the program a couple of times. I like it because what she does with it is that she attempts to teach kids how money is made, what the journey to money looks like, and what savings looks like, what investments are like, what compound interest is like. They might look like simple concepts for you and I now, but they were not simple concepts for me when I was 12 years old. Nobody ran me through that. Okay, maybe at best I had a mother who would ask us to keep the monies that our uncles and aunties give us in what we used to call kolo. Basically small saves. Okay. Small, the wooden ones that have a hole in them in the middle. Yeah. So, but to a large extent, there is always this taboo-like effect around money in our culture in general. And the smartest kids, smartest parents were the ones who took it headlong and taught their kids about money. I was going to say the other side of the money taboo would be sex, as same concept really. We run away from addressing it headlong. We do not speak about it in the room. We talk about it hush hush tones,
But
and
it still
use
happens.
yes, and we use vague words to describe it.
To disguise, cover
we
it.
do similar stuff as well with money, and I think part of the issue is there is probably a difference between how money is treated in certain households. I will describe them as wealthier households.
Okay.
Where they have family tradition or history of handling money and therefore understand the need for the kids to be equipped so that they can handle the family's wealth. At least some of the kids who are aligned in that direction. Relative to less wealthier families where maybe parents are grappling with daily grind, where money is a problem, or the lack of it is such a huge problem that rather than think about how to teach your kids how to make it, you are literally running 2-3 jobs, striving to pay the bills. So maybe some of it, I'm trying to say that yes, we might assume that it's cultural, but maybe some of it is just situational. The fact that people's lives may not necessarily give them enough context because you can't give what you don't have, really.
So that's where actually generational wealth comes in, because when you say people that are well-to-do, they've already had the experience around money, so there is more knowledge, more headspace, more experience to pass on to the next generation. So that's where I always wonder, like, there are different schools of thought, like, around why people are poor, and generational wealth is always one, right? Some people say the system is rigged. That's one reason. So the system is designed to make sure that there are masses that are poor that could serve the rich people. Then there's another school of thought that will say people are just lazy. They want quick get money quick scheme, so they go betting on all this stuff and lose. And there's another school of thought that says generational wealth, that's it. And that's what I really find interesting, in the sense that what is this generational wealth? What does that mean?
First things first, I don't think everyone needs to be wealthy. I think that on the other hand, I think it's almost impossible to eradicate poverty, but that's another conversation. But I don't think everyone needs to. I think what we need more than anything else is for most of us to be comfortable enough to pay our bills, to go through life without suffering for the basics. But on the subject of wealth, I think to be wealthy means, in my opinion, or in terms of how you've constructed the sentence or the question, generational wealth is where you have families that have been able to pass on in a sustained manner. They've been able to pass on accumulations of resources, or again, wealth, from one generation to the other. Now, resources, land, money, assets of all kinds, shares, whatever, what have you, and they've been able to, over time, pass this on from father or mothers to children or to grandchildren. That's, in my opinion, that's basically what generational wealth is. It's also not something we do very well here.
Yes, tell me about it.
Now, I wish I had generational wealth. Maybe I'll be able to tell you more about it. Before I start sounding like the expert on the subject. But really, in my opinion, why I think we don't do it very well is because a lot of times the things that parents had to do to make money are usually things they do not want their children to be a part of. Okay. That's my opinion.
I never saw it from that angle.
Let me explain in a clearer. So if your father was a let me think of, if what the father made to make money was, say, leather bags, what we call nylon bags here, right? Or plastic bags rather. If that's how he made money, plastic bags was how he made money. He sent his kids, and he's now become a multi-billionaire plastic bags. He sends his kids to Harvard, to Yale, to the best universities in the world, to study more interesting things than his plastic bags, right? He doesn't say it with words. He would not coin or craft his disdain for his source of wealth with words. But his actions tell his kids that what he does isn't all that.
Okay.
He carries out steps that move his children as far away from his source of wealth as possible.
Okay. I've never really thought about it
So
like that.
he hasn't verbalized it that what I do is trash. No. But he's acted in such a way that they feel it is not good enough. And therefore, good enough will be practice medicine somewhere in Seattle. Good enough will be a lawyer in London.
Thank you, because you've opened my ignorance to certain things, because I've never really thought. I am on the same page with you when I say, okay, we are not doing a good job in building generational wealth, right?
Yeah.
Especially when I see many European families and their countries and things like that. But I was ignorant to the fact that probably also that there are parents who they envision another future for their children, and they earn the money to send them to get this future. And that could actually put a break in this.
Because intrinsically they do not think that their own journey was good enough. Yeah, they would rather have a different journey.
Yeah,
and I think that some of that comes from now. I'm hoping that what I've just described only applied to a particular generation.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that people who are becoming wealthy maybe in the last 10, 20 years will live life differently, or maybe not. But if you notice, the things I described earlier would apply to a lot of the people who made money in the 70s and 80s. Their quest was, I'll make money so my children will not need, so that my children will not need to go through what I've gone through.
But is that not what will always happen when you are the one in that space? Like, we are now the generation in that space. And because you mentioned something that's so important, like they feel they're not enough. This is a deep human thing. It has nothing to do with where you are from. This is part innate in us that we always question if we're enough and all this. So it will still be there in me. There are times I question what I'm doing. Is it the right thing? Am I enough? I want my child to know from the beginning what they want, right? So I would so I'm repeating the pattern somehow.
But also, I didn't finish my initial thought. I realize now that I only spoke to one side of the story. So I was speaking to the side that refers to, or that deals with the kids not being involved in the businesses in the latter years of the founder, or or upon his demise, right? But that's not the whole story. The second half of that story is that if I compare big businesses here to big businesses in the West, one fundamental difference is structure, or lack of it. A lot of the issues around generational wealth can be handled easily with well-structured enterprises or business enterprises. What do I mean? One of the reasons why generational wealth gets truncated quickly here is that the businesses do not stay the same after the death of its founder.
There was no structure in place before to
adequate structure to continue the business even after you die as the founder. And I think I say structure because, but I would explain a bit more. So when you say structure, people are thinking, does it have accountants? Are the books well done? No. I'm talking about structure from an ideation standpoint. So a lot of our businesses live in the heads of the founder, right? So Steve Jobs has been dead for a long time now.
But we still have...
But you still see that the Apple brand is strong. It's probably doing, not probably, from the stock market point of view, is doing a lot much better now than it was doing when Steve Jobs was alive. From a creativity standpoint, it hasn't lost its sting. So you can still see the creativity in the brand, right? So what I'm saying is, in our parts, for a lot of our businesses, the ideation, the creativity, the impetus lives in the head of the founder. So when he leaves the scene, it's sometimes very difficult for someone else to step into those shoes. And so it becomes a little difficult for off the top of my head, I have several reasons for that, but I'll just pick one. For me, one of the reasons I think that happens is a lot of the people who were working with the founder when he was alive didn't really have a stake in the enterprise.
Oh, they were not invested enough in...
No.
Okay.
So maybe it was just for salary, or maybe it was just... So giving people actual stake in the business maybe could have rescued. Now, this is me postulating. I have neither generational wealth nor a business that is big enough for me to start to imagine what happens upon my demise. And I'm not ready to die yet. I'm too young for that.
So I want to take you back to before even coming to the stage of now start thinking of legacy wealth. Yeah. Right? You're from Yoruba.
Yes, for sure.
From Lagos.
No, I'm actually from Ondo State.
Oh, okay, you're from Ondo State. And for people listening or watching that don't even know where Lagos is or Ondo State is in Nigeria, or this area is where you grew up. How would you describe your growing up in Ondo State?
I didn't grow up in Ondo State, thankfully.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Lagos. Okay. But my folks were originally from Ondo State. Now, I spent some of my formative years in Ondo State, though, because my secondary school was in Ondo State, a place called Idwani. It was a federal government college at
that time. Were you interested in finance?
I had always been interested in finance, but I think back to secondary school, and I imagine that even though I was a science student in secondary school, but the subjects that caught my attention the most were things like history, geography. Even though I was a science student. But in terms of what I thought I was going to be when I grew up at that time, it was probably a doctor, the usuals, right? I didn't start to think about finance until I was in my university. Again, studying a medical degree. I studied pharmacology. I was in my year one in pharmacology when I decided that this is not what I'm going to be when I grow up. Well, when I'm done with this school, I'm going to switch to finance. So that at the moment I made that decision, I started to act accordingly. I take decisions in that line, and I think for a large chunk of my university experience, it was like I was just passing time and waiting till I did exactly what I now knew I wanted to do. But
how did you know?
How did I know? Okay, so I always feel somewhat that this question is a death trap for a lot of young people. And so I'm usually very careful to answer. And look, hindsight is 2020. When you look back, everything looks well done, perfect, well arranged. But in the moment, when you were there, it didn't come out that smooth and nice and well packaged. So I didn't know for sure. Do you ever know for sure? No. Well. But I felt a tug in that direction. I get more animated when you have those conversations. I had an uncle who caught my attention, who I wanted to be like, so those were the little things that, pull you in a certain direction. I've always felt that our life choices, and I'm saying this in a generic sense. I'm not saying the difference between choosing to be an armed robber and a pastor, but I'm saying in the generic sense, our life choices are not zero-sum games. If I choose to be an engineer, it doesn't mean I'll be so super successful than if I chose to be a doctor. So I'm using deliberately using generic professions, right? So the difference between one and the other might be this, not this.
Yeah.
And so the young person who is suddenly having a lot of anxiety around deciding what to do, just take a chill pill and pick one.
Okay.
I'm saying your life is not going to be a wreck because you didn't pick the other one most of the time. The differences between your outcomes are not as significant as you think. One of the things I used to do a lot, and I think I need to seek out older friends again this time. I used to have a lot of older friends, when I was a bit younger. And I had this particular older friend in his 60s then who used to say to me when I go to him when I'm expressing all of my anxiety about life, and he would look at me and say, "Young man, calm down. In the end, when you're 60 plus like me, you would have kids who are doing well. You would have a house you live in. You'd have a car that you drive when you need to, or somebody who comes to pick you up when you need it. And the same thing I described would apply to all of your friends who will be your peer at that same age. But if you look back, you all didn't start at the same pace. Some guy had 3 houses before you built one. Some guy had 5 cars before you bought one. Some guy didn't get married early and had his kids late. But when you're all 60 plus, retired or semi-retired, the differences between your outcomes wouldn't be that significant.
Is it about the outcome or the process? Like, I know, like, listening to you, I'm hearing, like, at the end of the day, we all arrive at these different destinations that we have to live with. Even if, I don't know, we have to just live with it. But some might have gone through a process that they enjoyed. Some might have gone through a process that was so daunting for them or so, caused a lot of anxiety, caused things that really disorganize their personal life, so the journey and the process getting there, because that sometimes I think maybe that's why it's not like young people don't know all the options of things to do, right? You can do a lot of things, but I think sometimes the human, for me, when speaking for myself and maybe some friends I know, it's more about if I invest my time now in this in the next 10 years,
and it's the wrong path, how do I unwind? How do I start all over again?
Yes, that kind of thing.
So basically, it's why you asked the question, or started off by saying, is it about the journey or is it about the destination? I'll say it's about both.
It's about both.
It's always about both. Our journeys make our destinations. Our journeys create where we end. It's hard to explain to people going through a hard time how important the journey is, because at that point in time you just can't wait to be done. The only thing you're thinking about is what's on the other side. When you're going through stuff, when you're on your way there, and depending on your level of, or where you are on the optimism spectrum, most optimistic or most pessimistic, the attraction is where you are supposed to go. So you're basically reminding yourself of your destination. But I think what's more important in the course of the journey is how you respond to your journey. I think to my mind and in my own life, what I hold dearly the most is my response to the journey. So I know that not all of my journey will be good, and not all parts of my journey will be good, and not all the parts of my journey will be bad. When it's good, I'll take my good with warmth, with happiness. But also, I won't let it linger too much. Because I know that just around the corner is some bad waiting. Now, that might sound specific to some people, but I'm just saying that I don't let my good.
You don't sit too long in your comfort
I try
zone.
to be grounded. I try to be grounded. I try to keep my feet flat on the ground, because I know that not like I'm living life expecting bad, but I know it will come because it's part of the package. It's part of what I signed up
It's part of life too.
in life. Yeah.
You know.
So I think for young people, I'll just say, look, take that step. Go through a rigorous decision process on what you want to do, based on. A lot of people talk a lot about passion. I was going to say, and I'm saying this to say what will drive how you decide what you're going to do.
Passion and profit.
Do they
share the same bed?
Sometimes, but I think a lot of times things you're not passionate about today can become your passion tomorrow.
Oh God, that is so important. The statement that you've made.
All this new age talk that lays a lot of emphasis or places a lot of emphasis on passion, I think might be misleading. If your background is similar to mine, and you're a first child of 5 kids like I was, or like I am, and you don't have generational wealth at home, and you are talking about passion a lot, and your passion ain't gonna put food on the table, you might you might be talking a lot of nonsense. Yes.
I started this channel with the aim to share stories and experiences, add the African voice to the global variety. But without you, I can't build this channel. So I ask you to help me. And here are 3 ways that you can help me for free. Subscribe to the channel so we can grow, share our content, and drop your comments so that we really know what truly matters to you. And I promise you, my team and I will continue to show up for you every week with diverse topics and formats. So your support truly matters. Thank you.
I plan to have more than 2 careers in my lifetime. My plan is for 3 careers. Yes. I do not think that you have to be one thing. There's no reason why.
I thought that for a long time. Do you know, I really, really suffered with this being in a box for a very, very long time. And then when I remember, like, when I was trying to find, I know this was the end of this career. It's not like it ended wrongly. It was at the peak of it. But I just know, I felt like
there was nothing else after that.
Yes, you can't grow anymore. I want to do something else. But because I had that image already and I've been so successful, and doing something else means, you've climbed that mountain, you've gotten to the summit. Now you want to just look for another mountain and start climbing on shore, and that was, so it took me at least maybe 2 years, just me. Nobody is on me. This is just me and myself trying to just figure that out.
I think first things first, the human mind and the human capacity is so huge. I have multiple dimensions of myself. So do you? Oh, okay. Yeah. And so why would I limit my expression if there are, like, somebody who used to teach me stuff many years ago will say you have multiple expressions of yourself and you should learn to let all of them out. Before somebody misconstrues what I'm describing now as passion, what I'm describing now is ability or capacity. And as you grow up, you would find out that there are different things you are able to do. And you should, if you have the luxury, because there's a part of this too that is about look, if I am a carpenter somewhere in Oshodi who got married early, or who got a girl knocked up early and has a set of twins to worry about. Oh wow! So there's a portion of this choices are limited. Yes. So maybe if he manages things well, sometime 20 years from there, when he's 40, he might be able to start to do the things I'm describing. Patience is then. Yes. But you must figure out where you are, and what your boundaries are based on your reality. Now, I'm not saying don't have faith, don't believe, but sometimes our people can get so caught up in those things and forget what is right in front of them.
Yes, and that leads me to my something that it's like I've been wondering, like, okay, if I have money today and I'm just a simple person earning a bit of money, and maybe let me just put a number, maybe at the end of the month, I earn 250,000 naira. This is not big money, but at least I'm not begging.
I thought
right?
you were going to say $250,000.
No. We have to. No, let's bring this down. You know, and so, but I can live with this. I'm not rich. I can afford too many things. Is there still an opportunity for me to build wealth?
There's always an opportunity to build wealth regardless.
How?
Different people's journeys would just be different.
How do I build wealth with my small income?
My sister, you cannot build wealth today with 250,000 naira.
Chai.
Let's start with that.
Okay.
But different people's journeys to wealth will be different. You know, my journey to wealth will be yours. And I said at the beginning, everyone will not be wealthy. So we live in a world. We live in a world today. So the world is not wealthy.
Yeah.
You know, we live in a world today. It's this social media thing that is causing wahala for a lot of people, right?
Yes.
Where people see things and it feels close to them. No, it's not close to you. It's not in your space. It's not part of your reality. It's not. The fact that you can see someone's lifestyle online doesn't mean you can co-own it. You don't own it. And so people get into this trap where they set targets or set landmarks for themselves based on these things they see online that have absolutely nothing to do with them. We all don't need to be wealthy.
But I want to be able to save, like with your background.
Fantastic. So savings, better. So for savings, I would say that everyone should save, no matter how little you earn.
But there is a school of thought out there that saving will not make you, at the end of the day, retire properly. You should invest instead of saving. Money depreciates.
So I think of it as a journey. So the guy who wants to start to invest can start first with savings.
Okay.
So you're telling me about investing, but I don't know the first thing about it. And if I'm going to invest at all, at the very least, I would need to have kept something on the side, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
So savings is like the kindergarten of investment.
What's the minimum that I can save to later think about just starting a small investment?
In reality, start where you are. Start where you are.
I ain't 250,000.
So start where you are. So
I can save 25,000 a month.
So why I said start where you are is this. The 250,000 figure you called.
Yeah.
I can be a married man with a pregnant wife and 2 kids and I'm marrying 250,000.
No,
that's a different scenario.
Minus.
That's a different scenario. Yes. No, it may not even be a minus, by the way.
Okay.
Because I may not be living in Lagos. I might be living in a suburb of Ilorin. Yeah. My life is totally different from the guy who lives in Aja with the same income.
Yes.
Right? But I might also be a freelancer.
Yeah.
20 years old freelancer.
Yes.
Who is in her final year in University of Lagos. And I earn the same amount. So, same amount, different scenarios. So, therefore, different expectations. In terms of what each one can save. So, that's why I said start where you are.
Okay.
So, I wouldn't say, no, it's not like it's written in a book where we must all follow the tenant that says you must save a certain amount. No. Different people's lives have different requirements.
But saving at the beginning is like one of the first
very key, very key.
You mentioned something that's very important, that even parents should start thinking of opening a savings account for their children. What's the age?
Okay, so I think as soon as they're born, on a very short note though, there are 2 different things you're trying to do. One is you want to put money aside for important things.
Yes.
Some of the important things will not be done by savings alone. You need to invest or use the compounding effects of what you keep aside. But secondly, you want to teach the children the importance of saving and how to use it as a tool. So even if you had opened it when the child was born or before the child was born, whatever, at some point you need to bring the child in to understand this is your account. This is what it is for. This is what you set aside. This is and what you're trying to do at that point is inculcate the the culture of savings. But also, more importantly, you're inculcating the culture of not using all you get.
Yes, emptying your account.
Yeah, because it's fundamentally the difference between, in quote, the poor man and the man who's not poor, is that one man spends all he gets and the other has learned
to set
aside something.
As the MD of a fintech company, how much can I start with?
You can start with what I said before.
Okay.
Exactly what you've got.
10,000 naira.
As small as that.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And upwards, there's no limit.
Absolutely no limit. And opening an account with us is straightforward, super straightforward. Like I said, download the app, provide us with your basic information or personal details, and voila, your account is up and running. You can transfer funds from any other place into that wallet. You can lock in the funds you have on your Zitra app so that you don't have access to it.
For a certain period or
for as long as you want.
Yes.
You can even have multiple of those.
Okay.
For different ones, for different reasons. I have my rent locked in one.
Oh, okay.
I have my Christmas jollof enjoyment in another. I have my Valentine's Day savings because I want to blow my boyfriend's mind with.
So what do we get out of it? Like what rates are we talking about? Will it later on match inflation?
So the rates are quite good.
Yeah.
We have rates as high as 25%. Of course, that's a function of how much you're talking about and how long you're locking it in for.
Yeah.
But also, one important thing about this, I hear people talk about inflation and matching their interest rates to inflation.
Yes.
But look, in reality, like it or not, you have needs tomorrow.
That's true.
And you would need to meet your tomorrow's needs with the funds we don't live in a society where you're paying your rent monthly, for instance.
Yes.
And for most of us, our annual or monthly income will not pay our annual rent. So you need to set something aside. You don't pay your children's school fees monthly. You're paying at best. You're paying for every school term, which is about a 3 months period. You need to set money aside for that. So there are always things in our lives that require bulk payments or bulk purchases.
Yeah, so investing in this way will actually train you
absolutely
to accumulate your money for.
Yep.
But one thing is it better to lock up your money saved?
At the end of the day, they do different things. Mm-hmm. Your savings keeps something aside for the rainy day.
Okay.
You're just like your stash, right? Your investments is what will ensure you have something significant in the future. Mm-hmm. So with savings, you're thinking, arithmetic progression or maybe low-key geometric progression.
Yeah.
With investments, you're thinking big-time geometric progression. So what I mean by so everything comes with risks, savings, investing. But what it means, I'm sure, is you're trying to talk about the fact that different investment vehicles or different investment types carry different kinds of risks. And risks are inherent in investing anyway. But the best thing to do, and this is very important to everyone who's listening, is that except you're a professional, don't assume you have figured out all of the risks. So what you should do before taking that investment decision is to talk to your investment banker, to your banker, or to a professional around you who can guide you on what actions to take or what thing to invest in. But you can think of different kinds of investments. Earlier you mentioned real estate. Yeah. That's an investment class. I think you mentioned the stock market. That's an investment type. There are money market instruments. I can buy government bonds. There are always different types of government bonds locally. I can buy bonds that are not local. I can buy the Euro bond. So there are all sorts of investment options. But a lot of time, people rush at these things. Calm down. Talk to an expert. Let someone walk you through the journey. Of course, it's not sufficient that you're relying on someone else. It's very, very critical that you also step up and learn and study and read and
educate oneself,
educate yourself. Absolutely.
How do you do it? Is it just the internet, or are there offers?
We live today in a world where you can learn about anything. But I would advise that people go to the right places to learn. So, for instance, if you have an investment bank on your neighborhood or a friend, if all you're doing at the beginning is picking up their brochures and their product documents, and just school yourself on how it works and what it means, and then check the equivalent of what they are selling in other places, and then compare the options, see what the risks are, or see what the pricing is from one place to another.
Talking about your neighborhood, right? That reminds me of this concept, an indigenous financial concept called Ajo. In Edo State, we used to call it Isusu.
Isusu.
Yeah. And how do you see, because that means we've already even created something for the rainy day, for the day we need bulk money, because this Ajo system, how is this working?
People have been in Ajo for hundreds, and they'll probably do it for maybe 1,000 more. So it's just, for want of a better expression, it's non-interest loans, non-interest bearing loans. That's what Ajo is. Ajo is non-interest bearing loans. You pull resources together, you lend it out to one another without anyone having to pay interest. Although it depends on where you are in the Ajo train, whether at the beginning or at the end. So it's non-interest bearing loans for one. It might be non-interest bearing savings for another. But that's what Ajo is really.
We have 3 closing questions.
Okay.
That we always like to ask.
Okay.
And the first question is about love and resilience. I said, look how you smiled.
Yeah, I love love.
Love and resilience, because looking at your journey, like transiting into the finance space, building this company with your co-founders, and really creating new products, looking at that, I can imagine you needed to be resilient in so many areas, right? Yeah. What were the key areas that you felt, okay, this is where you needed to show up, and how did the connection around you, love around you, did it even impact your journey, and how?
I don't think we talk about things like resilience enough. I don't think we talk about things like discipline enough. But one very stark reality we also do not talk about enough are the parts of our lives that suffer for our dreams. There's no one who, and obviously, I'm here to achieve great things, so maybe I'll be able to speak more about this when I have. But there's no one I have read about who achieved great things who didn't have to give up something. And sometimes it's, sometimes it's love, sometimes it's time, sometimes it's all of that.
What connections have really empowered you now?
I would say that 3 things for me are very critical to helping us till now. And hopefully they will continue to sustain us in the future. One is family. I think family is very important. The other one is friendship. I think it's critical to have, for instance, on my side of town in Zitra, I have 2 other co-founders who are not just my co-founders, they're also my friends. And it's very important when you're building with people that are family, so to say. The third, in my opinion, third critical thing are the people you're building with, my colleagues, right? And so if you have, family worked out to a large extent, you have your friends with you, and you have co-builders in the workplace who are aligned with your vision, and it's a sweet thing to have when all 3 things come together very well.
Oh, I'm happy for you. And the second question is, what bold move have you taken? In where something, it can be personal, it can be professional, when you thought like, oh my god, no way at first, right? And then you went for it.
Maybe I would say stepping out to start Zitra, but I wouldn't even, I don't know. A lot of times, do you look at your actions and think I'm bold? I don't.
Where you were afraid, or you had like uncomfortable, you left your comfort zone.
That sounds like every day. Yeah, because you're practically doing everything afraid.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds like a daily.
That's true, though.
I wake up, I get out of bed, and I'm already afraid. How do I handle X?
Yeah.
That's like
but then how do you overcome that?
But just take that first step. Just take the first step. You're on a journey to see how to make your final outcomes as optimal as possible.
Yes.
Or how to prevent it from being too suboptimal.
Yeah, yes.
You're not going to get 100% outcome. So that's the journey we are having on this side of life. How to make sure my outcome is, I'm not picking the least optimal or the most suboptimal option. I'm trying to pick
and be comfortable
and be
with
comfortable
that.
with it. Yeah.
Yes, and the final question is now. Imagine you had all these restrictions, you had none of them.
Okay.
You had no struggle.
Yeah.
You had all the financial capital, social capital, health capital, everything that you needed.
I dread this question. Okay.
That you will. What would you do? What is that one thing?
I knew I was going to. I knew where the question was headed when it started. If I had nothing to worry about financially, if my life had absolutely all of its needs met materially, I'll probably be a teacher. Yeah, actually. I'll probably be a teacher. So I love to teach. I've always loved to teach. I started teaching when I was 17 years old. Although then it wasn't for the pleasure. My first teaching job was just after I finished SSE, and I was teaching kids in SS2 who were preparing for SSE. So, but they had no clue that I just finished my SSE. Anyway, so I've always taught, right? And I love teaching.
Do you believe that education, teaching, it is so important for our future, or what do you get out of teaching? What is the value?
For me, the value I get is personal. I enjoy it. It gives me pleasure. Of course, one of the fallouts is that you're educating people, you're teaching people, you're getting them new knowledge, or teaching them how to acquire new knowledge.
Well, that's what you're doing anyway.
Right now,
in a way, yes.
Oh,
also
okay,
with
nice.
your
yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Zitra is an educational
yeah.
tool. Thank you for making me see the light.
Thank you so much, Tunde, for being here, and I really want to congratulate you and your team in Zitra. It's been 4 years, I hear.
Yes.
You're proud of this 4 years?
Yes, I am.
What are you most proud of?
I can't wait for the next 4.
Yeah, what are you most proud of?
I'm proud of my team. I'm proud of my co-founders. I'm proud that we all... So you're nothing without the people who hold your hand. The people whose hands you hold. There's no such thing as a self-made man. It's a myth, right? Everyone who gets anything done will get it done because someone helped him down the path to his destination. And I believe so much in teamwork. It doesn't mean that we just have our hands in the air and we're singing Kumbaya. No. There are bad days where, somebody's not pulling his weight and you need to, get him to do his shift. But overall, you need people to get anything done. You can't do it by yourself.
Thank you. Thank you, Tunde, for this time sitting with you. I really look forward to a conversation in the future, and I wish you so much.
Hopefully, a very long future.
Is that how bad
no,
the session was?
I've enjoyed myself. Yes. I could literally sit in front of you, Joe, for another hour and not feel like time has gone anywhere.
Thank you, and for sharing and for the work you all do.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.